What is going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon. A very unique episode of this week's live stream. Doing this one from the house today. Went ahead and took the day off from work. So we're operating the showroom by appointment only right now. What's going on, everybody? So if you hear a toddler in the background, whether it's screaming, crying, laughter, whatever, it's all right. They're my co-workers for the day. Patrick, what's up, man? Mr. Pekarski, Warren, the gang's all here. Let's see here. Just let's give it some time for a few more people to file in. How's everybody's day going so far? Having fun yet? Check it out, man. Is it Heck yeah, it's crawfish season, man. You know, I've been telling my wife now for probably 3 or 4 weeks that we need to do a boil. I'm not I love crawfish, but I'm not one of those people that needs to eat them, every week and things like that. And I usually am good for 2 to 4 boils, let's call it, where I much prefer to boil them ourselves at home, and I really like the way that they come out that way. When does the season end? It trickles off through the summertime, but it almost seems like crawfish season is year-round, just with the way that restaurants seem to offer them. But now is pretty much the ideal time. A lot of that's dependent on the weather and hot, cold, length of the winter, things like that, how much rain we get, and their availability. Pricing has been pretty solid, though. A sack of crawfish, depending on the size of them, it ranges from 30 to 50 pounds, usually average of 40, let's say. And I think they're $2.50-ish a pound, and sometimes they can be $4.50, $5 a pound for live, in the harder seasons, let's call it. But so here I am rattling on about crawfish. So, but crawfish, that's good stuff. Greg, what's up, dude? So, any COVID-19 specials? Yeah, we're still selling knives. So we're open for business. I have knives are shipping out literally even up to yesterday. And I brought a few home before I left the office yesterday that I need to ship out today. So it's business as usual over here, guys. Like I said, the showroom itself is operating by appointment only for my jewelry clients. And so we field those phone calls and figure it out, and just take it a day at a time. It's all good over here. No complaints. But we're all here for the knives, and I'm sure everybody that's staying at home right now has got to be running out of stuff to do. So hopefully this provides a little bit of a break in the day, and drop some questions in the comments. Let's chat about them. We got some killer pieces this week. Absolutely love literally every piece going up this week. I'd be happy to own literally any one of them. Online business is good. Look at how many of us are here. That's right, man. People here in Florida getting crazy. Can't find any ammunition. I stay well stocked up on ammunition year round. So thankfully we didn't have to have any issues with that. But I did see all of that. It's just crazy, man. So you can talk about the virus with anybody else. I'd like to let's just not focus on it here. It's we're dealing with that every day, and so I'd much rather try and hope this provides a break from that, even for the 20 or 30 minutes that we do this. I have some knives, never have to reload those. I hear you, Ian. Did you guys see Ian's lottery yesterday for that first inset lock bar build? That knife was beautiful. I was really impressed with that piece for Ian. That was a great build. Hopefully I can get me one of those. I'd like it. Since we're talking about the man, Mr. Pekarski, I have one of his knives going up this week. So let's talk about that one first, and we'll jump around. So I'm going to slide some of these other ones out of the way. This is not my usual setup. I'm working on a smaller cloth instead of that big slice bandana that I typically set up on. do I spy? There are 2 South Africans in this week's bunch. But first, I'm going to talk about a dude up in Pennsylvania named Mr. Ian Pekarski of CMF Metalworks. And I just received this knife last week from him. It is a Mini Crusade NF, or NF standing for non-flipper. Mr. Watson, what's up, dude? Mr. McCoy, how are you? So this is a mini version. I do have my notes. I remembered to write them down today, boys. So the Mini Crusade NF is a 2.9-inch blade that is 6.9 inches in overall length, and I'm listing this one for $15.75. It is brand new, direct from Ian, comes in original box, his padded zipper pouch, COA sticker, and even one of his signature Kirkland bright yellow microfiber cloths. So this is a thumb stud model, the Crusade NF, and this guy is just as snappy as they come, guys. Belt satin, and I know the lighting in here is not my usual showroom setup, so I do apologize in advance for the lack of quality here. We'll get a better view of them when I spin the camera around and kind of go through each one of them all together. But you know, we'll do it in usual fashion. So belt satin finish blade, darkened titanium furniture, including the studs, the pivot, the pocket clip, and the standoffs. It has something that is unusual for his knives is this chamfered finish instead of the contoured finish. Coronavirus lighting. It has some bronze anodizing and a stonewash finish done to the handles. And this guy is just an absolute pleasure to flip. I really, really like this knife. I'm partial to smaller knives, and not to say that the standard size Crusade is a big knife. First one in 3 years with chamfers. So, got some good ones today. Yes, I do, bud. I have to agree with you there, Ben. So this is the Crusade NF Mini. Fires like a rocket ship. And once again, guys, just to run through the specs on this, 2.9-inch blade, 6.9 inches overall length, and it's listing for $15.75. So, if y'all have any questions about that or any of the knives as we talk about these, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And once again, this is a piece that is brand new, direct from Ian, received last week. So that is her. Next up, let's talk about another mini in the bunch. One of the South African fellas here, for those of you that were asking if we got any South Africans this week. So this is an A2 A3 Mini. Sorry, Nick, you just missed it, brother. I know you really want that one. But you know I'll recap a little bit later on, so you just have to stay put for now. So this is an A3 liner lock mini version. And the A3 is a 2.9-inch blade, also like the CMF. And this one is 6.7 inches overall, so ever so slightly shorter than the CMF. The CMF is 6.9 overall. But this thing literally, guys, it just jumps. I mean, just barely touch that flipper tab and it flies. So this one has a hand rub satin blade. It's got polished zirconium bolsters and pocket clip. Mr. Corbs, what's up, dude? And not 100% positive this is actually Westinghouse. No COA came with this knife, so I'm just calling it White Micarta for now. Once again, I don't think it's Westinghouse. I believe it's just White Micarta. But either way, White Micarta scales and full-length backspacer here. It does have satin finished and light blue anodized titanium liners. And then all of the hardware on this knife is a really nice satin titanium. So for those of you not familiar with A2, I know I have talked about these guys at length over time, and we have a constant influx of their knives coming in, I think partially because I like them so much. But the A2 collaboration is a venture between two great South African knife makers, Andre Thorburn and Andre van Heerden. And so the A3 Mini is one of the mini models that are in their lineup. Mini being M-A-N-Y, but it's also a A3 Mini. So kind of confusing on the wording there. But so this is the A2 A3 Mini liner lock. Once again, hand rub satin blade, polished zirconium bolsters, and pocket clip, white micarta scales, and backspacer. And this knife does ride on IKBS, perfectly centered. And once again, that signature A-squared action that you just expect every time you get one of these knives. Their actions are just so consistent, it's crazy. And if you want a size comparison between the CMF and the A3, I mean, just the CMF just barely edges it out. I mean, just right there. But great profiles, very similar in size there. And thickness too, actually. One being a frame lock, the other being a liner lock, so you can see those views. So that is the A-squared A3 Mini. All right, let's talk about this guy. This guy got a lot of attention when I posted it up earlier this week on Instagram. So this is a Brian Efros Jive. This one has a full Mokutai show side, sweeping pocket clip, and a beveled backspacer of Mokutai as well, with a stonewashed titanium lock side and a dark, I believe, acid-washed finish blade. So the Jive from Mr. Brian Efros comes in at 3 inches on the blade. And for those of y'all, I believe most of y'all probably know this, but if you don't, whenever I measure the length of a blade, I go from the furthest point out at the tip of the handle all the way to the tip here. So from this point here on the handle to the tip of the blade, this knife is 3 inches. This blade is 3 inches. And overall length on this guy is 7.3. One of my favorite features of Brian's knives is, without a doubt, his backspacers. I love the work that he puts on them and those unique shapes, especially those bevels that come on either side of the profile here. You can see, and once again, you're going to get a better view of these knives when I spin the camera around from the other side. But all those beautiful layers of Mokutai that you can see, it ties in perfectly with that nice show side. I do like the dark finish blade with the satin studs. I thought that was a really nice touch, actually. Pairs nicely with his signature conical style pivot there, and all the hardware that's only visible on the lock side, nothing on the show side there, is all satin finished titanium as well. But it's just got those signature Efros design elements, especially his pocket clips are so recognizable as well. So this is the Brian Efros Jive. Full Mokutai show scale, pocket clip, and backspacer with a dark washed finish blade. And the Efros is going to be listing for $2,500. Mint condition as well. Beautiful flipping action. You want to come here real quick? You want to say hi? Come here. Ugh. You want to say hi? Say hi. Say hey, everybody. Got my helper. This is my coworker today, guys. She just finished her lunch, and it's getting close to her nap time. So, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Can you say it? Say bye-bye. Dad's got to get back to work. Oh. All right, go see Mom. Go. Oh, man. It's all right. All right. So, that is we've talked about the A3, we've talked about the CMF, we've talked about the Efros. Now it's time to talk about this fella right here. This little beauty is made by a fella down in South Florida named Jonas Iglesias, aka J.I. Knives. And this is his Fang model. And the lines on this knife are just sexy as hell. My favorite design feature and overall shape of this knife is actually this view of the handle. I love how it has this beautiful taper to it. As you can see, a little more visible when I hold it up like this. So you can see how it's got this really nice tapered profile as it comes towards the butt. And this Carbo Quartz, guys, is trippy in person. I had somebody call it milk and cookies. Looks like an Oreo almost. Love this thing. Dogs in the background and everything, guys. Just never know. So anyway, so this is the Fang from Jonas Iglesias. This knife was originally built for the California Custom Knife Show just this past October of 2019. And just like all of Jonas's knives, especially his thumb stud knives, it just fires like a rocket. And it's got this just beautiful elongated shape to it. The name is absolutely perfect. Fang is just so dead on for the name of this model. So once again, this is black and white carbo quartz. It has zirconium thumb studs, pivot, pocket clip, and the backspacer is also zirconium, but it's got some signature millwork that Jonas does, and so it's a two-tone finish. It's got that satin, natural grayish color of the zirconium, but then it's got the darkened color as well on it, and it's got some texturing done to match the pocket clip and the pivot. But this is the Jonas Iglesias Fang. It is 3.4-inch blade, and it is 7.6 inches overall, and it's going to be listing for $5,200. Just crazy thin knife for a liner lock, too. I was talking to somebody a couple days ago about how thin his liner locks are. His scale material starts at 0.12 inches or less. Crazy, crazy thin. But I could sit here and flip this knife all day. Great action on this knife. So that is the Jonas Iglesias Fang there, guys. The milk and cookies. Carbo quartz scales there. Alrighty. I said $5,200 on the Jonas Iglesias Fang. All right. Mr. Bailey, what's up, dude? Mr. Leak, what is up, guys? Anyone's sick. No virus talking here. This is knives. Knives only talking here. And give me that freaking Marshears already. All right. Another South African company. South African knife. So a little while ago, I talked about the A3 Mini, and I talked about A Squared, who they are, so on. So this is another model in their lineup. Only sick knives. That's right, Nick. I like that. So this is, in my opinion, their most popular and I think their best looking model, the A6. And the A6 is a Tashi design, actually. And this one is a very, very unique configuration. So this is SG2 Sanmai Damascus with copper, bronze, zirconium bolsters. This is a material from Chad Nichols that's a combination of copper, bronze, and zirconium. It has zirconium pivots and pocket clip, and then it has these very, very unique carbon fiber scales. Mr. Van Heerden, one of the two Andres of A Squared, messaged me and told me who makes this stuff, and I'll put it in the listing specs when it goes out. But I'm drawing a blank right now, and I can't reference it because that message is obviously on my phone. But signature A Squared action, just like I was talking about with the A3 Mini. It is on IKBS bearings. And it's a really nice material pairing, guys. I love the fact that you've got this really nice dark core from the SG2. It ties in nicely with the zirconium that's in the copper, bronze, and zirc material, the zirconium pivot, the darkness of these carbon fiber scales, and that zirconium pocket clip as well. This knife is pre-owned. It does have a few very minor condition things about it. It's got these very unusual, very, very faint scratches that carry over from the flat of the blade onto the bevel. And what's so interesting about these minor scuffs is that you can only see them in very random lighting and at just the right angle. So like right now, no matter which way I turn the knife and which way I look at it, I cannot get them to show up. I couldn't even get them to show up in any of the pictures. So I just like to note that they are there, but man, they're so hard to pick up, but they are there. And then the pocket clip did have a few little scuffs right along the tip, but nothing crazy. I liked this view as well. You can see the layers of the carbon fiber there. Some cool stuff. I'd never seen this material in person before. So that is the A Squared A6 designed by Tashi. And didn't mention the specs. 3.6 inch blade, 8.4 inches overall, and this knife is listing for $22.50. So that is her, the A Squared A6. Last but not least in this week's listings is actually my favorite knife of the bunch. This maker, for the most part, has eluded the fine pages of slicefk.com. This is an R.J. Martin full dress Q36 liner lock. What is the price on the Mini? Rob, which Mini are you talking about? The A3 or the CMF? I'm going to pause on talking about this for a second to answer Rob's question so I can see which one. It might just be easier to answer with both, the A3. So the A3 Mini, 2.9-inch blade, 6.7 inches overall, and that knife is going to list for $995. Just call it $1,000 for now. So $995 on the A3 Mini. Getting back to this guy. So this is an R.J. Martin Q36 full dress liner lock. And the number one thing whenever somebody asks me about a Q36 is the sound. That is what I associate with this knife. It's beautifully built. R.J. Martin is an amazing knife maker, and he builds some incredible stuff regardless of the model. But the Q36 has got the acoustics. You know, there's a couple knives out there made by certain guys that just have the acoustics. And I love that sound. I think this was the preview piece last week, wasn't it? Or did I do the Jonas? I can't remember. I feel like I've talked about this knife on the live stream before. We're getting a nice background here. So that is those wonderful acoustics. I've had the pleasure of flipping quite a few of these with different materials, and they all have that double detent sound. It's got these two very audible pops when it opens and locks up, but depending on the materials for the handle, the acoustics do have some slight differences to them, and it's really crazy what that backspacer actually does in terms of absorbing sound or making it louder and so on. So the rundown on this guy, the full dress Q36 liner lock, this is a deep etched hornet's nest pattern Mike Norris Damascus blade. It was deep etched, and so when Mike's stuff is typically etched, it's got this beautiful black finish to it. It's very, very dark. And RJ has removed all of that dark finish, just exposing just that beautiful stainless Damascus. And so that's what you see here. I had never seen Mike Norris's stuff finished this way in person. I've seen other steels that resemble it, but with this deep etch, I mean, you can run your finger over and you can feel every single layer of this stuff. So that is her right there. So deep etch Mike Norris Damascus blade. These are Alpha Knife Supply Damascus bolsters on both sides. And then it's also got the matching pocket clip there. It's got a carbon fiber backspacer, runs the full length of the knife, ends right where my finger is. And then it has some very unique and pretty much don't come across anymore these days, original white carbo quartz. And if you're not familiar with the original white, it's a little bit more of a cream color. I know that Carbo Quartz recently debuted and you started seeing it pop up, this pearl white. I mean, it is stark white, bright, bright, bright. And you see all the beautiful layers that you see with Carbo Quartz. But this stuff was originally offered when Carbo Quartz first came onto the knife scene. And a particular watchmaker actually signed some exclusive rights to get all of it from Carbo Quartz, where it's manufactured in Italy. And so the stuff that made it out into the wild, knife makers had and knives were built with, but you don't see it being put on knives anymore unless makers have a stash of it or something like that. And that's what this stuff is here. So a little bit harder material to come by. Certainly not going to say it influences pricing or anything of that nature. You just don't see it as much. So that is the R.J. Martin Q36 full dress liner lock. And specs on this guy, 3.9-inch blade, 8.8 inches overall, and it's listing for $6,800. Love that sound. All right. In packing up everything yesterday just to bring it home, I did just forget to bring a preview piece of a knife that'll be listing next week. So I might do a random live stream tomorrow or Monday or something just to show you guys a preview piece or two for knives that'll be listing next week. But in my pocket today is this guy. A few weeks ago, I believe it was, I hinted at a mail call that was coming in, and if you follow my personal page, my personal Instagram page, thank you, Patrick, I'm talking about it right now. This was a mail call that I recently received. This is a Jonas Iglesias Jewel. This knife was built for TKI that just happened last month. This is a Mike Norris Fire Clone blade with scorched and textured copper scales. And it's got a Damascus pocket clip and backspacer. So this is a more recent addition to my personal collection. I love this knife. I like it. I have a Volt from Jonas as well. And the more I carry and handle this, the more I actually think I like this knife a little bit better in design than the Volt even. It's slim profile. I really like the blade shape. So that's what's in my pocket today. And if you want to just see it next to the piece from Jonas that's listing this week, that is the Fang and the Volt next to each other. So, all right, so in customary fashion, I'm going to line these guys up, and we'll talk just a little bit better view on the camera, I think, from that camera on the back of the phone instead of the front. So let's spin this around for a few minutes. All right, so pardon all the fingerprints, guys. They've been handled quite a bit, obviously, during all this. So this is the A-squared A3 Mini. It's got a 2.9-inch blade and is 6.7 inches overall, and it's listing for $1,000. Hand rub satin blade, polished zirconium bolsters, and pocket clip with white micarta scales and backspacer. IKBS bearings. Price on the Fang. Fang is going to be $5,200. I love the action on this knife, guys. It just jumps. So that's the A3 Mini. We'll stick with the A2 boys. So this is the A-squared A6 full size. It is a 3.6-inch blade and 8.4 inches overall, listing for $2,250. This one has SG2 Sanmai Damascus on the blade, copper, zirconium, and bronze. You can almost call it a Damascus, essentially. So copper, bronze, and zirc bolsters, zirconium pivots, some unique carbon fiber scales and backspacer, and a black zirconium pocket clip. This knife is also on IKBS. And the A6 is a 3.6-inch blade, 8.4 inches overall length, and it's $2,250. And I'll line these two up next to each other so you can see their size differences there. So 2.9-inch blade and a 3.6-inch blade, 8.4 overall, 6.7 overall. $1,000, $2,250. So that's those two. My man, Mr. Ian Pekarsky of CMF Metalworks out of Pennsylvania with his Crusade NF Mini. There are not many of these guys out there. Just an FYI. Ian, how many of these have been made? The CMF is a 2.9-inch blade, and it's 6.9 inches overall, and it's listing for $1,575. This one is a little bit unique in that it has a chamfered handle. Every other knife he pretty much makes is contoured, but he elected to do some chamfering on this one. It's got blackened titanium thumb studs, pivot, standoffs, and pocket clip. And the handle is stone-washed and bronzed anodized. So once again, 2.9-inch blade, 6.9 overall. So you can see that one next to it there. And $1,575. The Brian Efros Jive, 3-inch blade, 7.3 inches overall, listing for $2,500. Dark wash blade with satin studs, full Mokutai show scale, beveled backspacer, and pocket clip with a stonewashed titanium lockside. Love the action on this knife. Great flipping action. I'll line that up next to it there. Trying to get all my pivots lined up. Next up is the Fang. The Milk and Cookies build. Black and white carbo quartz scales on this guy. That beautiful taper. Look at that. This is the view I just absolutely love on this knife. Zirconium studs, two-tone backspacer and pocket clip and pivots, blackened titanium hardware, black and white carbo quartz scales, a dark rub finish blade, and this one is a liner lock too, fellas. The Fang is 3.4 inches on the blade, 7.6 overall, and $5,200. And once again, last but not least, my personal favorite of the bunch, the R.J. Martin Q36 full dress liner lock. Listen to the sound. Deep etched Hornet's Nest Damascus Mike Norris blade, Timascus bolsters and pocket clip, and original white carbo quartz scales. 3.9 inch blade, 8.8 inches overall, and it's $6,800. One more. I'll line this guy up next to it there. So those are your knives, boys. 6 knives listing here today. And this was in my pocket, a little bit better view on her. The Copper Jewel from Jonas Iglesias from TKI 2020. This is the knife that's in my pocket today. Mike Norris Fire Clone blade, scorched and textured copper scales, and a Damascus backspacer and pocket clip. We'll put her over there. That one's not for sale. So those are your 6 knives, boys. Listing here shortly. Email blast goes out in just a bit. Put that one on the list for sale. Sorry, man. That one ain't going nowhere. Well, alrighty, guys. So I've got some things to take care of around the house, so it's time for me to wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in and watching and asking questions. And once again, stay safe out there. Be healthy. If y'all have any questions, obviously shoot me a DM. We are very much open for business. We're shipping knives, and people are asking questions. We're getting new knives in every day still, so things are doing great. So once again, thank you all for watching. Be safe and healthy out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.